If you are running any type of business where you want to hit that 10K or that six figure annually, you should probably take a listen to this as well.
I'm not like a zero to hero story. I come from a very strong family. Both my parents are still very active in work. I was offered a lot of the times also very nice things. I was taken to restaurants, and that kind of gave me a standard that then when I went out into the world by myself, I needed to then meet that standard. As soon as I turned 18, my parents very much made it very clear to me that, hey, you're going to be on your own. I had saved up around 5-6K. So I was like, you know what? Let me get into some Forex trading. Long story short, I ended up just blowing the account. I lost everything. I used to sit at my desk. I used to hear people just coming back drunk, shouting in the streets. And I would be just there sitting, working, because I knew I was like, I'm making the right choice right here.
What is the craziest success story that you have witnessed within Growth Solutions?
Definitely the 17-year-old kid.
What is up, beautiful people? We are back once again, and this time we are back with a sleeping giants that you probably may have never heard of, but you should know. So this is from my agency owners there more than anything, but if you are running any type of business where you want to be successful, hit that 10K or that six figure annually, you should probably take a listen to this as well. If you want to hit 50K per month, but you're stuck at 5K, or you're even not sure where to get started at all, Alexei's turning beginners into six figure earners. And today, he is giving you the exact steps to scale fast and the right way, most importantly. So, Alexei, thanks for being on the podcast, brother. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me, bro. It's a pleasure.
Of course, brother. Of course. Alexei, so people know you as the success coach at Growth Solutions, where you work hand in hand. You are exactly Oliver's right hand man. But what's something random or weird about you that nobody knows?
Ooh, I would say, probably the thing that stands out the most is I'm not like a zero to hero story.
Hmm.
So, Oliver started out in a situation where he was, obviously, I think you guys saw if you watched the previous episode, shout out to the previous episode. Um, Oliver started out in a place where, his family didn't have a lot of money, when growing up, he had all these stories
Hmm.
where they would really struggle, et cetera, et cetera. And there's, of course, that really sells well online. And, in Oliver's case, it's true.
Hmm.
In my case, though, it's not really like that. So actually, I come from a very, strong family. Both my parents are still, very active in work. My dad has a very awesome position at a very good company, and my mum worked in real estate also for a huge part of her career. I would say probably 30 years.
Hmm.
So, and we never kind of, I would say, we actually lived in Russia, funnily enough, in Moscow for most of my life. I'm actually born in France. And I lived here for 2 years and I moved to Russia. And we lived there for quite a bit. In the beginning, it wasn't definitely like sunshine and rainbows, but my parents worked very, very hard, and they don't come from very glorious backgrounds. My dad had a very basic university degree from the local town that he was born in.
Hmm.
But they worked super, super hard, and I'm always appreciative of that for them.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, pretty much they gave me a very good life. I always felt very loved. I never went through any kind of mental, trauma or these things that can happen also when you have a broken family or when you guys are really struggling. But yeah, I'm not a zero to hero story. So, but I think my perspective is still very interesting because
Hmm.
I come from a background where I'm used, and I was offered a lot of the times also, very nice things. I was taken to restaurants, whatever. Um, and that kind of gave me a standard that then when I went out into the world by myself, I needed to then meet that standard because that's what I was
Hmm.
already kind of used to.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, it's definitely a different approach, and I would say that's probably because a lot of people they see these zero to hero stories and they're like, oh, like everyone's just like that, but it's not the case, and I'm definitely not one of those cases.
That is actually very, very interesting. I gotta ask on that because normally normally with the zero to hero stories and all, people that have been through that type of like environment or situation, they end up saying that because of that, they were able to get that grit and all in order for them to succeed. It's like normally they
Hmm.
always say somebody's environment and their circumstances is what helps shape them. Their struggles is what helps shape them for them to like, get to that next level. How would you
Yes.
say in your situation, of course, you've had your fair share of struggles, even though you've come from a really great home and everything. How would you say that you coming from a great home and coming from a wonderful family that worked really hard to provide you everything that you needed, where you were lacking nothing, helped you become who you are today?
I think it's a combination of things. So I think number one, my parents have always taught me from a very young age, you have to work really hard. They're very much, you need to go to university, you need to go to college, get a good degree, etc. Because I think that's the one thing that they kind of regret. That's the one thing that they didn't have, and they know what the disadvantage of not having a very good degree is like in professional life, right? If you want to go do a career in a corporate job, it can really hurt you if you haven't got that good degree. And I think that's where, sometimes they get a bit scared. And that's where they told myself and my sister, I have a sister, an older sister, and they told us both, like, hey, you guys just really need to work your asses off
Mm,
to get amazing degrees because we know for a fact that's really going to help you if you decide to go into corporate life.
mm,
Now, in my case, corporate life doesn't interest me a single bit. I've definitely gone a couple times and, seen, for example, at my mother's desk and also at my father's desk, how everything works, etc. And don't get me wrong, it looks really cool. And some people may love it. Okay. And I'm kind of like each to their own. If that's what you enjoy doing, if that's what you want to do for the rest of your life, that's completely fine. For
mm,
me personally, I value much more, the ability to like kind of move around. And I think that's where really corporate life kind of pins you down in one area. Um, I'm someone also who's traveled. I've lived abroad, like I said, in Russia.
mm.
I'm originally, half English, half French, and I'm also an American citizen. So I've been kind of all over. It's a bit of a mix, but
Yeah.
so I kind of want to keep that. I don't
Mm,
want to lose that by going into the working, I guess, life.
mm,
Now, another thing I think is very important is that just because I had a good life growing up does not mean that my parents are flooding my bank account with money, whenever I need it, or as soon as I turned 18, my parents very much made it very clear to me that hey, you're going to be on your own. You have to figure your own shit out. We're not going to, after 18 or once you finish university or college,
mm,
you have to make ones with what you have. Okay.
mm,
You have to work hard, etc. Get that good degree because we're not going to be supporting you financially.
mm,
Of course, I think if I was in a shitty situation, then they would come in to help because they're just that kind of people. But they definitely made it clear to myself and my sister, like, hey, you guys just need to grind. Otherwise, you know, the life that you're going to have is the life that you're going to choose. Okay, so yeah, I think those are the kind of two main things. So just working very hard, putting that, like instilling that in my DNA.
mm.
And also knowing that, I need to make it work. Otherwise I'm going to be stuck with nothing. Okay. And because I just don't want to go into a corporate job, I needed to find something else, um, to kind of cater that need.
Dude, I love that so much. That is actually very interesting. Now, you see, normally when parents, and I know all of us have experienced it, or a lot of people experienced it, when parents learn that you're not going to go the traditional route, especially parents that have been hardworking and like making sure they do whatever it takes to put food on the table, put clothes on your back. Once they realize that you're not going the traditional route of like having a degree or like going into corporate, they kind of get scared and worried as to what exactly it is that you're doing. Did you have a similar situation with your parents at all?
Oh my God, bro. So much. Yeah. So my mom is definitely watching this. So shout out to my mom, but she was mostly the one that was very worried about it, which, do you know what? I completely understand. And also I think it was some lack of maturity on my end, thinking that I can just go all guns blazing on this, completely just sack off university. And because also another side to the story is that my parents have invested a huge amount in my education. Okay.
Mm,
And that's something that I'll forever be grateful for because I think it gave me really, it taught me a lot of things.
mm,
But also it's kind of put a responsibility on my shoulders that, I'm still in university now and I don't feel like I have the right to
mm,
just turn to them and say, you know what, fuck your investment, fuck all these years that you've worked super hard for,
mm,
um, oh fuck all your sacrifices. I'm just going to drop everything and go all guns blazing on my own thing. I
mm,
don't think that would be really fair. Um, I think I owe it to them also to kind of finish off what I said I would start.
mm,
And, it for sure is a bit of a tough situation. I've had conversations with both of my parents where it's gone to the point where, they're literally in tears. And I'm just trying to explain to them like, hey, I just really want to do this, etc. And like, no, 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 you need to continue, etc. But I completely understand where they're coming from. I'm not trying to paint them out as being the villain
mm,
in the story.
mm,
Um, but it is definitely, yeah, I think everyone goes through that. I think you just need to make a smart decision about are you currently in a good situation for you to be able to, does the situation make sense for you to be able to take those kind of decisions, right?
mm,
So for me personally, dropping out of university right now is just not worth it, right? I
mm,
don't anyway spend that much time, on my university studies. I've found some kind of workarounds for me to still, go to classes, still give all my exams, etc., and get this degree.
mm,
But also, I have a huge amount of time for left over for business, for growth solutions, also a couple of personal projects. So
mm,
I don't find it a necessity. I just think it would be hurting the people I love, and it wouldn't necessarily benefit me at all. You know,
yeah.
so you have to look at the pros and cons in every single situation for sure.
Dude, I love that, and it definitely I resonate with that so heavily because it definitely broke my heart when you even said like having that conversation where it gets to a point where like your mom's in tears and stuff, and
Yeah,
like tears you apart and everything.
that
Now,
hurts. Mm.
I can imagine it's so. Hmm, this is because it's a very interesting thing here that you said. So I'm wondering, normally in some situations we realize that parents, especially parents just like yours, because they're very hardworking and they've invested so much into you and your education.
Mm.
Parents sometimes tend to want their children to live their ideal lives that they have painted for them in their minds.
Yes.
I was listening to Hormozy just a couple of days ago where he said that like a lot of other people around him in the past and now always like imprint into their minds what their ideal success is
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
him to follow, but
Yes.
what they have imprinted on him is not his path. I'm wondering, what would you say about that in relation to yours?
Um, I think I'm definitely more. It's a good question. I think my parents would have definitely. I don't think they would have preferred, but I think they would have been like, yeah, it's definitely tricky to think about that. My version of success is the three things, right? Which is kind of like the pinnacle of what everyone talks about, even the biggest gurus out there. It's having location freedom, time freedom, and financial freedom. I think those three things, once you've reached those, like it's game over, checkmate.
Mhm.
You've kind of gotten to an amazing stage in life, and those are such luxuries. There are so many people in the world that do not have even access to one of those, and I find it very sad personally.
Mhm.
Um, but I think my version of success is those three things, and in terms of my parents, it might be more orientated towards having like a successful career, contributing to the world in a great way, which I still feel like I want to do. I still want to really contribute and make people's lives better overall.
Mhm.
I do feel though, the only two ways you can really make the world a better place is through influence or money.
Mhm.
I mean, what else are you going to do, right? Um, Influence because, if you can speak the truth, if you can become like a big speaker, or if you become a big figure in a government, or even a president, then you have a lot of influence. You don't necessarily need to have a lot of money for that.
Mhm.
Or another way to do it is if you do have a lot of money, donating to charities, creating charities of your own, giving money to people in need, etc. I do feel like that's an amazing thing to do, and so that's definitely one of my goals. Really just helping people out as much as possible. And but I do feel like without those two things, which I currently don't have enough of both of them, um, those are the only real two ways you can make a huge impact on the world. You know.
Mm, mm,
Um, so yeah, it's that's definitely an interesting approach. I mean, yeah, it's everyone's definition of success is a bit different. Some people just
yeah.
want a successful career. They really want to work in a maybe a small company, maybe a big company.
Mm.
So everyone's definition is a bit different, I guess, but that's mine.
I love that, brother. I actually really love that, and it really takes us into an extra of where you define as success and where it's strongly tied from, because it seems like a lot of things in terms of success for you and almost like your identity almost really comes from the strong ethics and working habits of your parents as well too, which I'm finding really interesting. Now you're and I know you're being humble in terms of like wealth and finance and influence that you have, because you have quite an amount, to be honest. You're just low key, which is what I really love about you. um in terms of, you see, you're doing something that a lot of people, even like way older than you, haven't done yet. Whilst you're in university, how are you able to be the head of success in growth solutions and then have some projects as well too, which are advantageously doing really well, whereas you're still in university, still studying and all of that, because a lot of people may see that and they'll be like, this is a kid. He has no idea what the fuck it is that he's doing. Like, what is he on about? What does he know about success? He hasn't even passed school yet. Yet you are actually really doing so much more than 90% of the people in this world. How do you balance that? Like, how do you go towards that in this situation?
I think it's just time management. I've tried a bunch of shit, like, doing the whole routines, setting doing your routines for the day, understanding at what time you're going to do what, etc. Personally, that doesn't really help me as much. I've definitely tried it, and that's what I recommend to everyone. You just need to try out a bunch of shit and
Mm,
just see what works for you. Okay. For example, one of the big gurus that I used to listen to, he was always like preaching meditation, right,
mm,
and going into this kind of monk mode mentality. And I tried it. I tried it for months on end. I tried doing the whole meditation thing in the mornings. To be honest, I just fall asleep because for me, meditation is quite difficult for me to like connect with others. Yeah. So I tried it out and it just didn't work out for me. So I was like, okay, so what would be a better way for me to go about things? So I just installed simply a routine where I have a week, 7 days. Um, 6 days a week, I work on all of my projects, on all the stuff for Grow Solutions, making sure our students are happy.
mm,
And then pretty much on Sundays, which is today, I just focus kind of all my time and attention on making sure that I'm on top of my university work.
mm,
Sometimes I have coursework assignments. I need to watch through a lecture again, etc. And I
mm,
managed to do that all pretty much in one day. So one day out of the week, um, I pretty much managed to get all of that done. So I think it's just about finding the right balance.
mm,
For me, that balance has worked out quite well. For some people, if they want to do this thing of online business and also still be in college and university, whatever, maybe it's 2 days a week um, you dedicate to doing all that work, and then your 5 days can be focused on your business.
mm,
In extreme cases, some people are working 9 to 5 jobs, so 5 days out of the week they're fully taken up. Okay, cool. In that case, for example, if you're just getting started with your agency,
mm,
on the weekends when your downtime is, make sure that you prepare a list of prospects that you can reach out to, so that then in the week when you're coming back from your job, from your 9 to 5 job,
mm,
you know exactly what to do. You've got everything ready. Boom. I can start calling people, start emailing people, trying to sign some clients, right? So it's
mm,
all about, I don't believe this BS that, oh, I'm in a difficult spot. Like I have too much shit going on. Like I've got my job, etc. So when I come back from my job, I'm tired. Everyone's tired, right? Everyone's tired in life. So you either want it or you don't. Okay.
mm,
So if you want it that bad, then you're going to make it happen and you're going to find a way. So even in extreme cases, from one spectrum to the other, one end of the spectrum to the other, you can always make it work, I think.
Mm,
There's no reason why you can't, if you
mm.
wanted.
Dude, I love that so much, and I resonate with that heavily because I've been on the both sides where at first I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm tired, or I'll do this, I'll get to this later. That whole procrastination aspect of things. And then now I'm at that point where it's like, yo, it's either you want it or you don't. You really just have to get shit done, or else everything would just be there just waiting for you, right? And I
exactly.
love that you really said that too. I'm wondering, what is one daily habit that you swear by for success, especially after you talked on that aspect of things? I'm really curious.
Oh my God. A daily habit.
Mm,
Not daily. I mean, I go to a gym 4 or 5 times a week.
mm,
Sometimes I'm a bit inconsistent with it, to be honest. Now for example, this week I just came back from like a chest surgery. I had like some weird stuff in my chest, anyways.
mm.
Now I'm back, and this is my first week where I've been able to kind of train properly, and
Oh,
I feel like $1,000.
wow.
Well, $1,000,000, I would hope.
That's good.
And yeah, I just feel amazing, and I think gym is just this kind of downtime. I put my phone on airplane mode,
Mm,
just listen to some music. I don't respond to anyone. I don't talk to anyone. I try to keep it as focused as possible.
mm,
It's kind of like this 1 or 2 hours where I'm away from my laptop, where I just feel like, damn, I'm just disconnected from the outside world, and I can just do whatever I want, do my exercises, and I feel at peace.
mm,
Definitely when I go to the gym and work out.
mm.
Um, Apart from that, daily coffee. A day, a daily coffee. That's the cheat code in the mornings.
Yeah.
No, all jokes aside, I think there's not necessarily one thing that I do every single day that kind of puts me on the right track.
Mm,
Um, I wake up, if I go to the gym that day, I go straight away. I
mm.
like to go in the mornings, just like Oliver. And when I come back, it's straight to my computer and straight to work.
Wow.
There's really not much more to it. I think I've gotten to the stage where I can kind of say fuck everything else. I am able to just within a click of a finger like switch and be like, okay, I'm in work mode now. Turn off my
Mm,
phone, turn off everything else, avoid all distractions, and I'm just going to do 3 hours of work right now. Okay, which in the beginning, by the way, I couldn't do that. Right in the beginning,
mm,
you have to, and I definitely recommend this for anyone that's just starting out. Even if you're just maybe 5, 10K a month, you
mm,
need to have a routine. Okay, so I'm not shitting on people who have like this routine laid out every single day. Not at all. I think that's awesome. And if you can discipline yourself to do that every single day, that's fantastic.
mm.
But I think you will get to the stage, and you can probably relate to this, where it's like, I just need to work. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to have all this routine laid out. I don't need to have every single timestamp in a day,
Mm,
like detailed out about what I'm going to do, etc. You just need to get to it, right? Maybe have a
mm,
list of shit you need to get done, get it
mm,
done, you know?
mm.
Um, that's really what I think. When you get to that stage of being able to work like that on demand,
Mm.
that's, you know,
Dude,
that's
that
pretty
is,
elite.
that is actually, you're right. That is elite. That is awesome. I'm wondering because would you say is the routine that is somebody starting out with the routine that is how they're able to start getting into that place where they can just swap into work mode? Like, what did you do in order for you to get to that place where you're like, okay, now I know that I can just swap into work mode. That's all I'm gonna do. Like, what if somebody watching this, they're struggling to always get themselves into work mode? What exactly would you recommend for them to like start doing or they should do in order for them to get to that level where they can just always go to work no matter what?
So I think number one, the most important actually, which is probably a bit underrated, is turning off your phone.
Mm,
Okay, on your phone, like it's always buzzing. You have people texting you. You have notifications from Instagram, notifications from TikTok. It's just such a crazy distraction. And for me, as soon as I just started turning it off, I just felt like my focus went up 200%. Right? It's just it's crazy what it can do for you. And having that aside, I would probably just put your phone like in another room. Put it in whatever, like a drawer, whatever, and then go to your desk and do some work. I think also pairing that up with, in the beginning, just creating a game plan for the day. Okay, so the evening before, this is what I used to do. So the evening before, I'd have like a little notepad.
mm.
I tried to find a picture actually for this podcast, but I couldn't because, yeah, I documented a lot of stuff. I used to take pictures of everything,
Wow.
and but just in a little notepad, just make a little list of things that you need to do for the next day,
Mm,
and also give yourself a couple of timestamps to give you an idea. When I was starting up everything and when I started working with Oliver, a typical day would look like, hey, I'd wake up around 9, 10 a.m. I'm not really a morning person. I prefer to go to bed late and then wake up later.
mm,
So I wake up a bit later as well. And yeah, wake up around 9, 10 a.m. If I wanted to go gym, I would go gym
mm,
until, 12.
mm,
And then from there, come back, have a little post workout meal. And then from my block of 1 to 6 p.m., I would pretty much just work. Okay. It depends for, what stage you're at with your business and what do you need to focus on. In the beginning, for those of you who are at maybe 5K a month or who are at zero,
mm,
I would suggest just doing outreach. Okay. Outreach needs to be 90% of your time.
mm,
Doing cold calls, cold emails, focusing maybe on some paid ads, whatever needs to be done to acquire more clients, right? Working
mm,
on those systems. And then, I used to take a little break, 6 to 7 p.m., have some dinner, and then 7 to maybe 10. That's when I'd work on maybe some fulfillment for some clients. Okay. So,
mm,
learning more about how, Facebook ads operate and also making sure the clients are happy, sending them a little
mm,
message, check-in message. So it's really not a crazy routine, but it's what worked for me in the beginning.
mm,
And then I kind of got to a stage where I could kind of mix and mash both in the same day. So I didn't necessarily need to have these work blocks that I would
mm,
specifically dedicate to one thing. I could
mm,
just kind of mix it around. 1 second I could be working on the client acquisition system. Next second I could just be texting the client like, hey, we have this update, right?
mm,
So it's just getting used to that kind of routine and then
mm,
just tweaking it as you like, you know?
mm,
Um, Now it's important. There's a difference between something that you like doing and something that you need to do, right? So
mm,
if you're still getting your shit done just a bit differently, it's completely fine. If you're changing the way you do things and as a result of that, your productivity goes down, your focus goes down, that's not a good idea. For example, I thought, when I had gotten used to my routine, I thought that I could just have my phone next to me again and just there would be no problem at all. But that was not at all the case. So I had to revert back and say, okay, you know what? I just need to keep putting my phone away. Otherwise, I just can't focus.
mm.
So there are, tweaks and adjustments as you go. It's definitely like, yeah, it's a juggling ball 24/7, but you just need to figure it out for yourself and just find something that works for you. Find something that
Dude,
works for you.
I love how, and I find it very interesting. Is like your way of success is very different from what a lot of other people will say their way of success is, which is very intriguing. And I gotta ask because yours is like, look, start with try a lot of things, try everything, tinker about, and then figure out what works for you. Almost like
Yes,
sort of like doctoral kind of approach.
of
Like
course. Yeah.
it's sort of like psychological approach. Whereas other people are like, wake up at 4 a.m., go to the gym at 6, do this, do that. Why do you emphasize on find out what works for you and then tweak that in order to let go for it? Why don't you follow the same blueprint as others?
Because everyone's different. Everyone's different. Everyone responds to work differently. Everyone likes to work to a degree, to a certain degree at a different level. It's always, and you're definitely right, in terms of always trying to test, shit. It's the same in everything, bro. You know this better than I do, for example, when you're doing ads for clients,
Mm,
what are you doing all the time? 24/7. You're testing.
yeah,
You have to test ads. You have to test new creative, test new videos, test new copies
yeah,
because you're always trying to find something that works better than the previous thing you had, right?
yeah.
Um, Same with ads, it's the same with ads, same also with acquisition systems, right? I always tell people, when they come into the program, to the Growth Solutions program,
Mm,
um, we need to find something that's going to work for you. If you put me in a room, for example, with Oliver, you give us the same cold calling script,
mm,
okay? Same amount of leads to reach out to, exactly the same leads, everything the same. We call them at the same time, etc. He's going to do much better than me. Why? Because he's professionally sales taught. I'm
mm,
self-taught in sales, right?
mm,
Just because he has that background, he's going to do better than me in cold calls, naturally, right? That's not to say that the script is shit or the cold calling method is shit. That's not the case. It's just because myself as a person, I'm just not adapted to that way of doing things.
Mm,
However, in my case, my kind of expertise lies with cold email. Actually,
mm,
that's what I really found success in my my first agency. So I tried out the cold calls, I tried out the DMs, I tried everything, and then the emails just ended up being my winner.
mm,
Um, and the only way I got to that is by testing out everything, right?
mm,
And if you were to put me up against Oliver in emails, I can guarantee you 100% I would beat him, right?
mm, mm.
So everything, and that's always what I tell people also who come into the program. Like, we just have to find something that's going to fit you the best. For 1 month, let's test out cold calling. For 1 month, let's do cold DMs. For 1 month, let's do cold emails. Then
Mm,
we compare the data. Data is king, of course.
mm,
And then from there, we're going to stick with what works the best, right?
mm,
The same with everything,
mm,
right? If you start looking at things in life like that, just testing out a bunch of different stuff, seeing what works best for you, and then just sticking to that, you can't lose.
mm,
You
mm,
physically cannot lose because you're always going to find the best version of all the options that you have.
mm,
You're always going to find out one thing like, oh, I noticed that I had much more energy when I did this, or I noticed that I worked a lot better when I did this, or I
mm,
noticed that this outreach script was much better when I used it. It's the same with everything.
mm.
Always, always,
Dude,
always, always.
I
So
love
yeah.
that. I love that so much. Man, take us back, brother. Take us back. Now we're getting into the meat and potatoes, and I'm loving this a lot. Like, I love how people have come to know who you are, your background and everything. And and I will come back to ask you about, like, probably how many languages you speak and stuff, because you are, like, literally so,
No,
like, multicultural. Like, it's insane.
it's
How
confusing.
it is. I'm like, oh my gosh, this man is from everywhere.
I
It's
don't even know myself, bro. I'm confused myself. I don't even know what's going on.
I love it. I love it. Well, I wonder, brother, take us back. How did you meet Oliver, and what got you into coaching agency owners?
So, meeting Oliver. So I'll take you back actually even further than that. So the way that I originally got into SMA, I think I'm like most people, to be honest, and I just tried out a bunch of shit beforehand. I remember I always used to rant to my dad about how NFTs are like the future of the world, or like these things that you pay $300,000 for, which are like these like pictures on the internet. They're awesome, they're super good investments, etc. Obviously,
Mm,
if you look at the NFT market now, it's quite something.
yeah.
Now, I dabbled in a lot of things. I tried drop shipping. I tried affiliate marketing. I tried NFTs. I tried crypto, etc. Always lost money, right? I
Mm,
always lost money. I'm not like Oliver. I didn't get lucky on crypto. He was a bit more fortunate and lucky than I was, but I just tried out a bunch of stuff. And actually, my journey in SMMA started so this one summer, I believe it was the summer of 2022.
mm,
So summer of 2022, I actually worked like a summer job at like this restaurant that I have in my local town in France,
mm,
and I worked there for around 4 months. It was dog shit, to be honest. It was horrible. I was finishing at like 2 a.m. I just wanted to
oh my
I
god.
wanted to finish it all. It was crazy. And yeah, like working super hard. The manager was on coke, so he was super like emotional. He would give some people 200 euro tips and some other one 20 euro tips just because he didn't like that. But like it was an absolute shit show, to be honest.
Jeez.
And anyways, that aside, when I had finished that summer, I had saved up around 5-6K
Mm,
euros, that is. And I thought to myself, okay, I want to do something with this. I was like, you know what? I've seen a lot of people like preach and like always give advice on like forex trading. So I was like,
mm,
you know what? Let me get into some forex trading. I found out that you can actually buy like signals, right? So you could go into a Telegram chat and a guy could send in like what trade he's doing. I was doing gold against dollar. Okay, so
mhm,
XAU USD, and I was like, you know what? If I just follow this guy's trades, like every single time he sends it in a Telegram channel, I might just be able to make some money with this. It could be some kind of side hustle money.
mm,
Um, Long story short, I ended up just blowing the account. I lost everything, and I remember actually, I literally lost it in the space of like a week because I had seen like the signals he was sending, and this was the only money I had, by the way. I didn't have any other, like, this was the first kind of real bit of money that I had earned myself. And I had all of this. I put it all into that Forex account. I did the signals that he was saying that he was sending every single day. And then he kept giving these like also weekly reports. I bought like, I think it was like 300 like bucks for like 3 months or something like that. And he would get like a weekly report. And in that weekly report, he said, oh, gold is going to bounce back because it was crashing. It's going to bounce back, guys. Don't worry, etc. And I was like, you know what? I trust this guy. So I basically put all of my money basically on gold going back up. And then I remember the day that I was actually going back to university, right? When summer had ended. I go to university in Scotland, in Glasgow. And I was flying back from Geneva to Glasgow. And when I was at the airport in Geneva, it's obviously Geneva is very, it's rich in like people who are doing like a lot of finance stuff, etc. So there's a lot of like TV screens at the airport who show you the stock market, etc.
Yeah.
And I just remember just seeing red, like everything was just red and I was like, oh my God, like I am so fucked. And I went on my account and I saw zero and I was like, oh my God. And I remember I just sat there like this for like 1 minute. I was like, fuck, like what do I do? I just lost like the entire summer where I just suffered every single day, coming back late, etc. And I just basically blew all the money, right?
Wow.
And then when I had a layover in Amsterdam, to go back to Glasgow because there was no direct flights at the time. And then in Amsterdam, I actually was watching on YouTube, like best business model to start. And that's why I came across actually Iman Gaji, who is, of course, the person that most of us got into MMA because of. And I stumbled upon his VSL, which is an awesome VSL, which has like millions and millions of views. And it's just comparing a bunch of business models. And then when I saw, obviously he was preaching his own business model, which was SMA. I was like, oh, that's actually a pretty good idea. And so I got started on that. My first agency was working with interior designers. Okay. So I really focused on that market. And when I was looking for some ideas in terms of, like what to do as a service for them, etc. I'm not sure. I think that's what it was. I was just searching up on YouTube, just browsing as you do. And I came across one of Oliver's YouTube videos actually. So found his YouTube video. I watched it. And then in that video, he actually mentioned, oh, I speak French, right? I speak French, or I'm from Quebec. I can't remember exactly what he said. And I thought, oh, that could be interesting. He had like 150 subscribers. Like he was very small at the time. And I was like, you know what? And he plugged his Instagram in the description. So I was like, you know what? Why not give it a shot? I just want to message him and see what he says and just say like, hey, I really appreciate your content. Sent him a message in French, just because that could have been something a bit different.
Yeah.
And then he replied and he said, oh, I really appreciate it, etc. And then after that, he started offering these like one-on-one coaching calls, which was like a 1 hour call where you could pay $100 to meet with him, right? And that was like his first kind of dabble in coaching, where he would take these coaching calls with people. And I had like maybe $150 in my account, and I was like, "Oh, do I do it? Do I not do it?" And I just took the leap of faith, paid the 100. I literally ate fucking rice and peas for the rest of the month. It was like the 10th of the month, so I still had 20 days to live off of with $50. And but yeah, we met in that call. We hit it off literally right from the get-go. And he was super cool, super helpful as well. And then pretty much from there, I followed him along. I gave him some advice also on some YouTube videos that I'd want him to record. And then when he started his mentorship program, I was actually one of his very first students. So I was actually, I'm not going to lie and say I was the first one. I think one of his friends was the first one, but I was actually the second person to join that mentorship. So I went into his mentorship. At the time, he was taking like 1 hour coaching calls with every single person. The modules were a lot more basic, but they were still useful. And yeah, we just used to talk a lot. And I think he saw, not to glaze myself, but he saw just how hardworking I was, and just how everything was structured, etc. And he thought to himself probably, hey, like that could be interesting maybe in the future. And then the next summer, so that happened in around like November 2022. And then in May 2023, so a couple of months after, when I was still running my interior design agency, I had a couple of clients on board. I basically had a call with me where he said, hey, do you maybe want to do some coaching? right? Because I want to scale my thing. I can't be the one doing the coaching calls, also taking the sales calls, etc.
Mm.
And so we then entered in this kind of three-man band where it was myself in fulfillment, taking all the coaching calls. Oliver was taking the sales calls, and we also had the head of growth at Growth Solutions, which is an absolute G, Abdel,
Yeah. Yeah.
who was our head of head of growth, getting like a bunch of appointments coming in. He
Mm.
was just he was on it, so we were all kind of just grinding out. And then Oliver actually came to visit that summer, to help kind of integrate me also in the company and make sure that
Mm.
I was doing everything right with the coaching calls, etc. So, some people call it luck, but I think you have to make your own luck. You can't just expect everything to be handed to you on a silver platter. You have to just go out there, try. And by the way, Oliver was not the first person that I had ever reached out to on YouTube. I'd reached out to hundreds of people before
Mm.
that, trying to connect with people, etc. And it kind of goes against actually what I preach, which is networking is kind of bullshit when you don't make any money, you can't bring anything of value to the table.
Mm.
But actually, in my case, it worked out quite well.
Mm.
But yeah, it definitely, I think I made my own luck with that. I tried really hard to try and connect with people in the space, and just so happened that I connected with the future guru.
Dude, that is actually amazing. That is truly amazing. I am like, I am beyond stoked right now hearing this. I wonder, brother. It's a very, it takes a very different type of person to lose everything and then
Yeah.
reach out in the way that you did, because it's like a
Mm.
similar thing, right? Where it was like it's still this online person you don't know and everything, and now where a lot of people after that they're like, you know what, I swear I'm never doing this shit again, and they just like completely alienate and say everything is like, fake and all of that. They're just like liars, thieves, all that type of stuff.
Mm. Yeah.
How how were you able to still reach out to Oliver, or even go through him and God's? He's like, how are you still able to do all of that after losing 6K? And I wonder how that even made you feel like as well too. Were you not scared?
Oh, bro, I wanted to. Yeah, I felt like dog shit. It was horrible. Like I said, bro, that was like the one moment in my life where I just stared into the abyss. I was just looking at the airport, like, oh my God,
Wow.
I've just lost everything that I worked so hard for, the entire summer. Which, some people have lost like 10 years worth of savings.
Mm,
It's not at all the same, but,
mm,
in my case, that was like 4 months where I just grinded super hard. I had such
mm,
a huge amount of shit from the work. It was
mm,
just horrible. And then, you know, losing all that, that really hurt, but I think taught me a good lesson. Definitely. I think I took the lesson from it, which was like, okay, you know what? Now is the time to react.
mm,
You could either go two different ways. Either you go cry about it and you just give up and you don't do anything about it, or you make a change, right? You adjust, you learn from your mistake, and you just have to go about life a bit differently. You can't just go all in on some dumb shit that you just saw on the internet that
mm,
promised everything, right? And that's another piece of advice I would give to everyone, is be very careful about what you see promised on the internet, right? You have a lot of people out there who are just looking to take your money and not give anything of value, in exchange. So be very careful, do your research, see what people talk about.
mm,
Um, if they know what they're talking about, just make
mm.
sure that they're very authentic, and all that stuff. And yeah, it was very tough, but you can't give up.
Yeah.
You have no choice. For me, it wasn't even an option to go back and be like, oh, like I don't want to do anything else. Like I said, you just have to keep trying, keep
Mm,
testing.
mm,
Um, and, when I saw Oliver and the feeling that I kind of got, like, like someone with a low subscriber count. So he actually, maybe listens to people who message him.
mm,
And also we had some common things, and, we hit it off really good on our calls. Thought to myself, like, this could be really cool. And,
mm,
yeah, you just have to make it work. You have to, like I said, work really hard and
mm.
try to make a comeback. Okay.
Yeah.
Always try to make a comeback. When life knocks you down, that's when you need to perform. It's
Yeah.
easy to be, on the clouds when everything is going well, etc. When shit gets tough,
Mm.
that's when you're put through the test. So,
Man, it's quite interesting because especially Because as you said, like, you shared a bit with us about, you coming from a good home, how
Mhm.
hardworking your parents are. And if shit hits the fan, they're like, they're your safety net. They'll catch you, right? I'm wondering, like, and you made mention right now here that you had no option. You could not go back.
Mhm.
Why do you say that when pretty much you could have, relied on your parents and they would have been able to, like, help you out or bail you out or so, like how come you felt like you're in a position where you had no option and you just had to figure the fuck out or else nothing else?
Because I knew that, in fact, I knew that once my university was done, it was still up to me. Like I
Mm,
said in the beginning, my parents, they've made it very clear from the age of 18 that, once university is done, you're by yourself.
mm,
You've got to figure your own shit out.
mm,
Um, and that's always kind of what I had in mind. I was like, okay, I need to have something whilst I'm in university. So then when I come out of it, I don't need to do the same corporate bullshit, go
mm,
on like a 2K a month salary for 5 years in the hope of getting promoted to 2.5K. That's not of interest to me at all. So,
mm,
um, I think that, and also combined with the fact that in fact, you know, my parents could, they would definitely help me out if I was to be in like real trouble with something. But there is also something that I hate about being reliant on them, you know, because then I feel like they have this leverage over me, which is kind
mm,
of, I can't do exactly what I want. I can't, travel as much as I want because I'm still, they're still responsible for me. And,
mm,
I have no legs to stand on pretty much if I don't
mm,
have something of my own, to kind of prove to them and show them like, hey, I can do this. Um, so I think it's definitely a bit of a tricky situation. I think, yeah, just the kind of the aftermath of what university would be like. I think that's what scares me the most. That's really what kind of and I'm almost frightened by it.
wow.
It frightens me to think that, oh my God, I need to go back to doing something similar that I was doing at that restaurant, or go work just a normal job, for 10 years in the hopes of being promoted one day. So that just scares the shit out of me. Okay. I don't
Wow.
know. I don't know if you got the same
Yeah.
kind of, experience with that. It's just like, for me, it just haunts me. And so that's the reason why it just scares me to death. And I just want to work as hard as possible to try and avoid that. I think that's the
Wow.
main thing.
That is
But,
that is that is very interesting, bro. Because the thing is that like, um, a lot of people find what frightens you so much or what scares you so much. They find that stability comforting. They find the fact that
mm,
they can go whatever it is. The boss is an asshole. I'm working for long hours, whatever, but I'm still getting that check that
yeah.
I'm able to bring back home and everything. Why did it? Why did it frighten you so much in the case where for others is comforting for the stability?
I think if you're earning, for people who work like these who just get into the corporate life and they're earning kind of these minimum wage jobs, I
Mm,
don't understand how they live. And like I don't understand how. Well, in fact, I do understand is that you don't live a life that's worth living. You don't do anything,
mm,
right? Well, what are you doing on $2,000 a month? Your rent, well, first of all, your taxes, right? So you probably pay what, 20% tax. So what
mm,
is that on 2K? Uh, my maths, 400, so 1,600, right? You've got
mm,
left over. Rent, let's say $600, you want 1,000 left. Okay, with 1,000, let's say you have a family.
mm,
Oh no, actually, let's not say you have a family because, if you're just getting into corporate life, you most likely don't. Um, but you very quickly are very limited. Let's say you have car payments,
mm,
$200 a month, whatever. Very quickly you get to the stage where you've got just, I mean, you have fuck all left, bro. You can't travel. You
mm,
can't, you can't be doing anything fun like, taking your family on a trip.
mm,
You can't get a nice car. Yeah, I think it's just
mm.
with like with these kind of low income jobs, you just can't really do anything fun with your life. And I personally don't find that. That's, I think, what scares me the most is just knowing that that could possibly be me. It's like you can't do anything.
Wow.
Ooh. Even on 10K a month, like I don't, Like you can't do shit with like 10K a month is so easily spent, you know?
Mm,
Um, and I think, once you get to the 100K mark, I'm sure Oliver will confirm with us. That's also very easily spent.
mm,
Uh, so I think it's people I think it's also a naive point of me. People, a lot of people and most people do live on
mm,
these, salaries.
mm,
And if they're happy with that, you know what? I'm all for it.
mm,
But for me personally, I think my life would be just shit. Like I wouldn't be able to do what I want. I'm personally a huge lover of cars. I wouldn't be able to get the car I want.
mm,
I'd just be stuck in the same kind of loophole of going to work, paying off
mm.
my taxes, paying off any debt that I have, going back to work the next day and just doing the same shit for 40 years, and that for me is just, that's a
It's
bit of a
just,
nightmare.
yeah. Oh my
That's what
God.
scares me. That's what
Because,
scares me.
mm,
Um, but yeah,
bro, I love that so much, man. Honestly, truly, yeah, and I resonate with that heavily too. It is like just having that low income job, where it's like you're just living paycheck to paycheck, and you have a little that just comes to you. Is not a life worth living. That is.
it's not a, yeah, and you chose it. Like, I hate people who say, oh, but I don't have any choice. No, I've seen fucking 17-year-olds
Mm,
hit 20K, 30K a month with it. I've seen like so much crap, like of people like so young, 14-year-olds. I've seen 14-year-olds hit 20, 30K a month. Like, do you
mm,
know how mad that is?
mm,
That is just insane. And for people to say, "Oh no, I can't," that's too risky, bro. If you don't want a life that's worth living, cool. That's
mm,
no problem at all. But for people who do want that kind of life, who do want to travel the world, who do want to enjoy nice things, and who say, "Oh no, I can't. I'm stuck in my job." What the fuck are you doing, bro?
mm,
Then find a way to make it work because you can. I'm guarantee you're not 7 days a week, on your job 24/7. You can find a way to make it work.
mm,
Okay. There's no, you know, the roadblocks that you're kind of putting in your head, you've created those. It's not other people that have put those in front of you. You've created those yourself because you want to give yourself excuses to not, go out there and get it.
mm.
That's the only thing. So, anyways, yeah,
Wow.
I do recognize that I come from a very privileged position to say this, and I don't speak from that position. I speak from the position that I've seen other people in. Okay, because I've seen, thousands of people through the mentorship program. I've seen all kinds of situations, people
Mm,
who have been in such rough positions and in such difficult situations in life, and they've managed to pull through. And
mm,
they've managed to pull through because they believed in themselves and they knew, okay, if I just do this, or I sacrifice maybe some of my time with, I don't know, my family, or sacrifice some of my downtime. I sacrifice some of my money that I use on Uber Eats. I
mm,
invested into my business. That's how you make it work. Some people
mm.
just don't want to sacrifice it. Some people don't want to, they don't want to kind of make the change. And I think, sorry to keep ranting on,
No,
but,
no.
another kind of big sacrifice that I personally made, in England and also in the UK as a whole, when you go to university, it's seen as this big, like this huge thing, right? It's like, oh, you're going to go to university, you're going to be free, you're going to
Mm,
party a lot, you're going to meet so many amazing people. And actually, I remember it very well because my first girlfriend at the time, my ex-girlfriend now, um, prior to going to university, she used to tell me like, "Oh, you're gonna have so much fun. Like you're gonna meet so many people. You're gonna meet so many girls. You're gonna do this, do that. You're gonna network a bunch." And when I got to university, I was like, "Bro, I don't want to do that. I want to work. I want to build my future right here, right now." Whilst other people are going out doing their thing, getting wasted on the Fridays and Saturdays. And actually, my apartment is right next to like a university kind of social, I guess you could say like a social hub.
mm,
And every Friday or Saturday, I always, this is kind of what stuck with me from that time. I used to sit at my desk. I used to hear people just coming back drunk, shouting in the streets, arguing with each other, fighting, like whatever you can imagine. And I would be just there sitting, working, because I knew I was like, I'm making the right choice right here.
wow.
I'm not going out just getting drunk, spending all my money on fucking vodka. I was there just building my future, whilst the other ones, they're just wasting their lives away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Dude, it takes a different type of discipline to really have that type of mentality and also just get things going. I know you say that like you I know you say you got a lot of like your principles and stuff from your parents, especially because they're
Mhm.
hardworking. But what did you do to enforce that discipline onto yourself? Because it's very easy for people to hear that, and, and they're like, of course, like you're a man, it's girls, it's liquor, it's all these fun things. Go have a fun time, have the experience and stuff. Like, what made you enforce such a discipline to work whilst others are partying and all of that?
I just think partying in itself, bro. I don't know about you. I fucking hate it.
Mm,
Like when I go sometimes because actually from here in France, I'm still friends with some of the people that I worked with at that restaurant job.
mm,
They're amazing people. Like I love them to bits, and one of them in particular, he's really working on his career, but he's still very down to like go out. Sometimes he asks me, "Oh, do you want to smoke a joint with me?" That kind of stuff.
mm,
So he's still kind of very active in that party lifestyle. And one time I was like, you know what? Let's just go. Let's just go to the club one night.
mm.
This was like around a year ago. And I went and I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? For like 10 minutes and I was like, bruh, there's no way. There's no way people do this every single weekend. I just stood there and I was like, oh. And then we went to buy drinks. Oh yeah, it's fucking 20 euros for what? Like, I see now people, they just go every single weekend. They spend all of that money that they get from their job. And then, they have absolutely fuck all left at the end of the month. And, another example of that is, when I was working at the restaurant job, I used to speak, for example, to the cooks. They would earn maybe 1,600 euros a month.
Hmm.
Their first cost, 300 for cigarettes, 300 for weed. They're left with 1,000. That's how they break down their cost to me. I was like, bro, how? Like,
No.
how on earth are you living on that? And then I think that just kind of made it a click in me, like, oh my God, some people just spend the majority of their money on just drugs, degenerate shit, like going out, partying, alcohol, this kind of stuff. And I think just seeing that, I think it just really put me off. Now, I'm not saying I'm a perfect human being. Okay. So when I was in, prior to college, actually, when I was in, like high school, I guess you would call it,
Mm,
right? So from kind of like 15 to 18,
mm,
I did my fair share of degenerate stuff. But
mm,
at that stage, I was still young. I did a bunch of stupid shit that I really shouldn't have. But also, I kind of look back on it and say, okay, I did it at that age, and
mm,
actually, I'm happy that I did it at that age because that way, at 18, at 19, I was like, oh, I've already done it. Like,
mm,
I don't find this particularly interesting anymore. And then when all of the other people were kind of getting into it, that's when I got out, and so I kind of bought myself an extra 4 or 5 years
mm,
because I had already gone past that stage, whereas other people were just getting into it.
mm.
Um, so I think, yeah, it's a it's a mix of different things. But yeah, I'm really not a big party person. I just dislike it. I think I much prefer having like a night with my boys,
Mm.
going to the casino or, doing some fun stuff, just at home.
Mm.
Just talking about business, just life in general, giving each other advice, smoking a little cigar. I don't know.
Mm.
Do you smoke cigars, bro?
I don't smoke at all. No,
No? Have you
no,
tried it?
no, never. But I can't though, because it's like I'm a. So I tried in the past just a little bit when I was like a kid, literally, and it's so dumb. It's so dumb. I
Bro.
literally like rolled up a newspaper in my parents' bathroom,
Oh my God,
like
bro.
lit it up, and since then I'm like never.
You're
So
scarred for life.
yeah, I'm like I'm never smoking again. Like it's painful. I'm like no, so I don't ever.
Fair enough, bro. Fair
Yeah.
enough. No. It's not. No. It's definitely not to everyone's like it. It took me a while to get used to it, definitely. But yeah, I
Mm,
think cigar or no cigar, just spending a night with your boys,
mm,
talking about where you want to be in life, your goals, and also some actionable steps for us to do. That's so much more attractive to me, and I fucking love that. Um, when Oliver comes over, we always have a blast.
mm,
We always just chill, we work, boom, evenings we go outside, little cigar, have a bunch of kind of conversations about what we can do in the future. And that's where we get the best ideas, right? Just
mm,
brainstorming, like being forced to be put in that position where you have to talk for like an hour, because
mm,
that's usually how long a cigar lasts.
mm.
Um, it just, you come up with so many good ideas in it. And that's where most of the stuff for Grow Solutions to be honest came up, like the whole school community, all the
Mm.
modules in it, etc. Cigar nights, bro. That's the cheat code.
Cigar
Cigar
night.
nights.
That's where it's at. I love that, bro. I
That's the
love
cheat
that so
code,
much.
bro.
Oh my gosh, that's a Chico. So for you guys out there, cigar nights, just do that with your voice. You got it.
Oh yes, secret cheat code. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
No, for
yeah.
sure.
I love that, brother. I love that. So I'm wondering when, and I'm sure you remember this, and since you've also said that, like you've, I find it interesting the way you said that you've seen thousands of people
Mhm.
that have come through, where you're seeing 14-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, people across the spectrum hit 10K per month, 20K, 30K. I even know, like, I came to meet somebody within the community that was like, made 50K and all of
Mhm.
that, right? So it's like, do you remember how you landed your first 10K per month, like 10K per month when you had everything going? Do you remember how you landed that? And what was that move that made it happen?
Mm. Good question. I think so. In the beginning stages, all you need to really focus on is acquiring clients. Acquire, acquire, acquire. Now, that's not to say that you can just shit on fulfillment. And this is like a big moral to the story, especially with
Mm,
growth solutions.
mm,
We've always had like an immaculate fulfillment because Oliver and I, we've had the experience of going through a bunch of other programs, most notably the ones of like the biggest gurus out there,
mm,
and just being very disappointed. And I
mm,
think when you pay thousands of dollars for a program and you just go
mm,
into it and you're like, bro, like I get no one-on-one help. There's no one that's kind of holding my hand throughout the entire process. It leaves you kind of scarred, and it's very difficult afterwards to trust someone else on the internet,
mm,
where there are a lot of people who offer really good value. We're not the only ones.
mm,
And so that was a top priority for me. Like the day I got the kind of position of doing the fulfillment side of Growth Solutions, I told
mm,
her, listen, bro, fulfillment is going to be like epic. Like it is going to be immaculate. When people come in, there's going to be no reason why they can't succeed. The only
mm,
reason why they don't succeed is because they just don't stick with it. Right.
mm,
I had made like a calculation actually, funnily enough, the other month. I think it was around 72% of people who end up buying the program never book a one-on-one call. Do you know how mad that is, bro?
that is crazy.
3 out of 4 people never book a one-on-one call. I've never
Wow.
met. Don't know. I have no clue. Ask them. I think people just probably see it as this another thing like, oh, this is going to change everything, etc. And they buy it and they just forget about it. I have no clue. But for those who do book it, you know, the success rate is pretty high. So all you need to do is literally just fucking, turn up and apply the advice we give and, you know, you're going to be there. And that's really where, with Oliver, I put the emphasis like, bro, like we know the experience of going through a shitty program. And that is something that I will never let happen,
Mm.
um, with us in Fulfillment for Growth Solutions. So to come back to your question, I know I deviated a bit.
I love it, brother. I love it.
So in the beginning, yeah, your main focus should really be with the customer acquisition in the beginning up until 10, 20, 10, 15K a month.
Mm,
Uh, for me, when I hit that 10K a month, it was nice. And also it's really glorified online.
mm,
Everyone uses 10K a month as like a benchmark. Do you want to make 10K a month? Do you want to do this? Like it's so overused now that when I got to it, I was like, oh, like,
this
okay,
is it.
10K a month. It was nice, of course. I definitely felt accomplished. I think I would be lying to say, oh no, I didn't feel anything. Like,
Mm,
I was ready for, 5 million. But, for me, seeing like 10K, okay, cool. Now I need to pay this guy. I need to pay this. So in fact, in reality, you're left with maybe 4, 5K, right?
mm, mm,
Um, and then, yeah, it's just always a game about what's the next goal you can reach. So you hit 10K a month. Okay, cool. Now I want to hit 20. Okay,
mm,
I hit 20. Okay, cool. Now I want to hit 50. It's a constant kind of battle with yourself,
mm,
just showing off like how good you can become, like how far
mm,
can you actually push this.
mm,
Um, so it feels great. And for anyone out there, hitting that 10K a month, it's an awesome feeling. But yeah, I would highly doubt if you feel fulfilled by it. You know, um,
mm.
that's probably what I would say.
Yeah, I love that you say that because it's like it's. I was trying to remember the first time I had my first 10K per month, and I was like, "Oh, okay." I'm like,
What's next?
"What's next?"
What's
Right?
next?
Yeah, because it's like it's. Okay, but yeah, okay. Like, is this it? It's just as you
Yeah.
said.
And even
Well,
10K, bro, you must have realized this as well. Like, how fast can you spend that? You can spend
yeah,
that so quickly, bro. You buy one gift for your mother who you love dearly and you want to give her a really nice present. You go
yeah,
on one trip, it's bloom. You have nothing left.
yeah.
You know, it's crazy how fast you can spend money. Um, so yeah, anyway, sorry, I cut you off. What were you about to
No,
say?
no, no, no. You're good, brother. Like, cause this is me just like really, this is me just really like hearing what you have to say and like really understanding and resonating with it a lot. So it's like, you didn't even cut me off because I actually stopped so you could like talk because man, you're giving so much, and I love it when you go on your rants as well too. By the way, because you're giving so much like sauce and advice from a really deep place, and also really seeing and knowing what has happened and what has helped people succeed. Because it's like, for example, that 72% of people now booking a call
Yeah,
with
that's
you
mad.
once they get into the program is wild. Whereas, so
Mm,
you're only seeing that 26% of people coming in, and the success rates on them is what you're seeing, as you're saying, these 14-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, between 10 to 20 to 50K a month. They're just like hitting it.
mm,
Isn't that mind boggling? Because I'm guessing like to join the program is not for free.
of
So
course. Yeah,
what
of course, of course.
like what because I'm very curious, like what could you say, what could you say to that, because it's like, why, what exactly could stop them, especially after committing themselves financially, to come in there? Or are they just silently consuming the models, getting on other like calls and stuff, and that's how they're succeeding?
I think the main lesson you need to take away from it is that that's your competition.
Mm,
Competition is people who buy shit and they don't take any action upon it. That's the majority of people. Literally. 72% is a majority, right?
yeah.
So if most people are just buying a bunch of crap and just not even acting upon it, who is your real competition? It's the people who are actually taking action on it, the 26%, right? And even out of those 26%, bro, to be honest with you, some people book maybe their one or two first coaching calls, but then I never hear from them again. So there's a really small minority of people who regularly stay in touch, always try and get help, who are progressing through the program,
Mm,
in a kind of correct timeline, right? And they're the ones who succeed. As simple as that.
mm,
I don't have someone who's, um, and in the case where we've had a couple of cases where we have people, for example, who have been with us for like over a year and they
mm,
kind of really struggled. We've always found them a way, kind of a work around it. For example, um, I had a guy who had been here for like really a long time, like probably 1.5 years. He was kind of inconsistent with things, but he was still consistent in terms of like getting coaching from us and booking calls with me, etc. And it
mm,
got to a stage where he was getting a bit frustrated. I was like, you know what, bro? In this case, let's do this. Let's try and find you a job as an appointment setter. Okay.
mm,
We're going to find you the agency. We found the agency. He started working as an appointment setter. And
mm,
I told him, listen, what we're going to do is you're going to get a first bit of money in your bank account. Okay. So that you can at least survive. Okay. You have some money to pay for things.
mm,
He's very young actually. So he doesn't have like a huge amount of responsibilities.
mm,
But then with that money, what he can do is dump that into paid ads. Okay.
mm,
Put that into paid ads and maybe open up a new acquisition system to get clients, right? Because he's
mm,
tried cold calling, he's tried cold DMs. It didn't necessarily work out for him. So there's always kind of workarounds, even for someone who's been at it for a while. There's always a way we're going to try and find a solution for them. And that I think is super important, like being flexible with people, because sometimes it doesn't go as planned.
yeah.
Being flexible and trying to find a workaround problems is super key. And like I said, if he had just given up after 1 year, he would never have, the position he has now is like, I think he's even become like a head appointment setter at an agency,
Wow.
and having the money to be able to reinvest into paid ads for his own agency as well. That's
Mm,
super cool. Okay,
yeah.
that's awesome. It's not the traditional thing of everyone saying, "Oh, we need to start your business," etc. But
Mm,
it's another way of going about it,
mm,
and it gets frustrating sometimes when always people like say like there's only one way of doing things. It's not true. Okay,
mm,
it's really not true. And take my case for an example, right?
mm,
A shit ton of the stuff I've learned is through the Growth Solutions program,
mm,
working for Oliver. And, I consider Oliver as one of my mentors. He's taught me a lot of stuff alongside being my friend, of course.
mm,
Um, I've learned a great deal from him. And I thought to myself, you know what? Let me focus on this stuff with Oliver. I think
mm,
this could be a really good cash cow for me. Okay. And then using that money that I generate from what I make with Oliver, with the Grow Solutions program, I can then reinvest that into some future projects that I
Mm,
want to do. Okay.
mm,
That way I'm not going to have to struggle at $0, try to start something from scratch. Cause I think it's always going to be easier if you have a bit of capital to invest, if you're not investing it like a bimbo, right?
mm,
If you invested like a dumbass, there's going to be, you could spend it very quickly, like I say. So,
mm,
but if you know how to spend your money, you know where to invest it in, what to invest.
mm.
Having like 5, 10K, even, that amount, it can really help out any kind of business that you're starting out. That
Mm,
can, help a shit ton. And that's a huge advantage that people just don't have. Most people
mm.
don't have 5, 10K saved up in their bank account.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
there's a bunch of ways to go about things. It's not start your own business. You can't work for anyone. You can't do this. You can't do that. No, you definitely need to, you know, life will throw some curveballs at you. You need to try and find a way to navigate around it. Take
Mm,
my case as an example. Like I said, I started the agency, yes, but my main cash cow is with Growth Solutions.
mm.
Okay. And that's where I'm envisioning like reinvesting all of that money into some future projects for myself. I'm not saying I'm going to stay my whole life with Grow Solutions. Okay.
Right.
I definitely have some things I want to work on.
Mm,
But it's another way of doing things. And it's
mm,
maybe not the way that most people preach, you
Yo,
know?
I like that, bro. I like that. I like how not going the preach traditional kind of route online is
Oh,
not
yeah.
always the way that you're going. And you're like living that right now too. Whereas you're
Hmm.
also finding a good amount of success. And as you said, like, getting like this crazy amount of like cash coming from this where you're able to like work on your own project as well too. And which a lot of
Exactly.
people really like undermine as
Yeah,
well.
they shit on it, bro, because they don't want to work for other people because they think, oh my God, like I don't want to have a boss. I don't want to have this. Bro, I'm working online. Now, there's a difference between doing a shit job and, getting to a position where you're trusted enough. I trust Oliver with my life, and I think he does as well.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
so when I tell him, for example, fulfillment is taken care of, he
mm,
doesn't even blink. He knows that it's being taken care of. And I've
mm,
gotten to that stage where I've got his trust. So, if I want to travel, if I want to take a week off, I can.
mm.
I've gotten to that stage where I'm very free. I don't have Oliver hanging above me saying, bro, you need to do this, you need to do that.
Mm.
Okay. If anything, it's the other way around. I'm telling Oliver, bro, you need to fucking record content. You need to push harder. I'm always trying to push him to his limits. And I know sometimes he doesn't like that, bless him. Um, but yeah, it's just, it's not the traditional method, but it
Mm.
works. So
Mm.
for
Yeah,
anyone who's out there, that's a good way to do it.
I actually love that a lot because I feel as though it's like you guys have a certain sense of brotherhood, which I
Mm,
really adore and like. It also reminds me of my business partner and I. Shout out to Kay. So
shout out Kay.
yeah, shout out to Kay. So it's very I love how you guys like really just go at things where it's like it's also a situation where it's like, you're always egging each other to do better, which is why in my
Yeah,
opinion, I even think that Growth Solutions is like that much more successful because you guys are able to really go at each other to like help better each other,
mm,
right? Like,
of
brother,
course, bro.
it's very interesting with everything that you shared. I'm wondering if let's say somebody is stuck at 5K per month right now. What's the first thing you tell them to fix to get to the 10K?
So when you look at an agency, there are essentially four separate kind of domains you need to focus on.
Mm,
Your appointment booking system, your sales, your client onboarding, and your fulfillment.
mm,
Okay. Now, in the beginning, your main kind of the main thing you should be focusing on is getting the appointments coming in. Okay. So
mm,
if you're at 5K a month and you're struggling to go to 10K, that probably means that either you're recycling clients and you're churning a shit ton because you always need to sign one, but then you lose one. And then that's kind of rinse and repeat. Or you're just unable to book more sales calls and close more people, right? So there's kind of two scenarios for that. If
mm,
in scenario A, where you've got people that are coming and going, but you're signing consistent clients, your main focus needs to be for fulfillment. Okay.
mm,
Cause it's much easier to retain a client than it is to sign a new one. Okay. So if
mm,
you manage to fix your fulfillment, then you're going to kind of stop that bleeding from the clients, always churning. You're going to retain those clients, and you're already signing the clients anyways, right? If you're staying at that 5K a month. So then you're going to grow just automatically, right? Just by fixing your fulfillment. Now, it's a very different story if you are at 5K, and whatever, you're doing a good job for your clients, you're not necessarily churning them, but you're unable to get more sales. Essentially, you need to work really on your acquisition system, on getting more appointments booked. Okay. Now, I know this is always kind of like a very, I saw you also did a pod on this with the organic versus paid ads.
Yeah.
And I personally, in my experience, I think organic is definitely hard. Okay. It's much harder. It takes a lot longer. I definitely do think both of them kind of complement each other. I think paid ads is easier to get into like quickly. You can quickly get into paid ads and find some decent success, but that is not to neglect organic content. I think organic is fantastic. And if you can get to a stage where you've got paid ads running with organic content, well, it's game over. It's game over. Like it's finished, your competition. And that's what people don't have, most people, I would say probably actually most people, they use paid ads just to acquire their clients. If you've got that kind of killer combo of the organic, the social proof online, plus also the paid advertising, that's really where you're going to stand out. Yeah. That gets crazy. So that's what I'd recommend if you're in that second kind of scenario B, and you're struggling to get those clients on board, start working on like long-term and also short-term acquisition systems. Okay. So short-term paid ads, and also long-term start doing some content online. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. I've seen some people who are really not good on camera. They still kind of push themselves to put content online. And in the beginning, it's whatever, who cares if you get 10 views? Who cares if you get 1 view? It's just about, you can use that. Then you can use your channel when you're reaching out to clients. Hey, do you want to check out a couple of my YouTube videos? I'm showing you exactly how you can get an extra 10 jobs this month, right? If you find that interesting. And that's really easy social proof. And they're not going to care if you have 1,000 or 1,000,000 or 0 subscribers, right? So yeah, there's those two scenarios. I think they're very different for sure. And you kind of always need to look at, okay, where is the biggest issue that I'm having? And then obviously try and fix that issue, and then work on the thing that's going to drive the most business to your agency, right? So yeah, that's what I would say to that.
No, I love that, bro. I love that. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not stuck there, but I'm definitely getting. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm trying to like take content like really seriously, especially this time.
Of course, bro. Yeah, you're crushing it, bro.
Oh, thanks, brother. I appreciate that.
You're crushing it.
I really appreciate that. So it's like I'm trying to do that organic and paid, specifically on YouTube. So I love that, like you said that, and I'm like, okay, cool. Success coach said it. Say less.
No sense.
Straight, right? Bro, what would you say is the and I did this with Oliver, and I think this is something I'm gonna start doing a lot, because I find it interesting, the answers that people give. What's the worst advice you see gurus push that's straight BS?
The worst advice. I was ready to give some best advice. No, I'll give some worst one. The worst advice I have ever heard. I heard Oliver say, "Follow your passion." That's a good one. It's shit advice. Yeah. Damn. I need to get crazy with this. I would probably say, I think once you get, a lot of people try and glorify, once you get to certain stages, that you'd have it all figured out. Coming back to like the 10K a month thing, people make it seem like once you hit that 10K a month, your life is sorted, right? And the truth is, if you are the type of person to get to 10K a month, that just means that you've got something else in you. It's not going to be some lazy bum who's going to get to 10K a month, right? If you get to 10K a month, that means that, okay, you're someone quite serious in this. You will never be satisfied. I think the myth is that people are going to be super happy and just stay at that level, etc. I think very rare cases that will happen. You're always going to want more.
Mm,
You're always going to want to reach new goals. You're always going to want to reach kind of new heights. Like I
mm,
said, once you hit 10K, you want to hit 100K, then you want to hit a million. And
mm,
that non-stop kind of stress, it doesn't leave you. It never leaves you.
mm,
It never leaves you. You're 24/7 stressed,
mm,
24/7. And I think the myth is that you have it then all figured out once you get to a certain stage. That's not necessarily true. I
mm,
think, yeah, I just think some people just paint it out to be like all sunshine and rainbows once you get to 50K a month, but it's just not the truth because now you have people to pay, but then you also want to grow this business. You want to go even crazier.
mm,
And it's like a non-stop kind of aching feeling that you can never get rid of. I think, yeah, it's quite difficult, right? And especially if you're
mm,
not used to like pressure and like stress and that kind of stuff, it can really take a toll on you.
mm.
Luckily though, I'm not too bad with pressure actually. So, I haven't really had to face it myself, but I see some people, bro, like when they're stressed, it's crazy. So yeah, life doesn't get all sunshine and rainbows that quickly.
Mm.
That's what I think.
I like
The
that.
advice
I
is.
actually like that a lot. You are right. It's a very different type of reality once you hit it, and then you're like, okay, yeah, this is it. Now what?
Yeah.
And
Now
it's
what's
like,
next?
yeah, and it's like you just keep on like going through the entire time because, as you said, you have a different type of like animal or something in you to acquire more. I find that very interesting.
It's like you and I, bro. You
Mm,
and I could go to the Bahamas and chill and not
mm,
give a fuck and just stay at where we're at.
mm,
Okay. What is that going to do for us? You know,
mm,
okay, we're going to stay at, X amount per month, but it doesn't fulfill us at all. You know, you would feel like, fuck, like I'm not doing something. I need to work on this. I need to launch this new business. I need to do something, you know,
mm,
and that you'll never be able to get rid of it. I don't think personally, right?
mm,
Unless you get to the stage where maybe you have a family and whatever, you're retired and you don't want to work anymore. You just want to settle down, which is
mm,
when like you're 50 years old, right?
mm.
But in our stage, bro, we could just fuck off to the Bahamas, fuck off to the Maldives and just chill there, but we don't,
True.
you know?
That is true. That is so true. My gosh, bro, what is the wildest thing when like you're running your agency and everything? What is the wildest thing you did to land a client?
Well, I would say there's two cases. I mean, one, obviously, I just lied about. I just lied about some previous experience. I mean, I think everyone does that, to be honest.
Mm,
Like in the beginning, it's kind of difficult to be very authentic, especially nowadays where people are just, it's like a game of who can cap the most, like
mm,
everyone is just like, oh, I did this with this client, etc. Um, and so I tell people like, of course, be careful with that. Don't be an idiot and start lying about like really crazy stuff. Um, so that's one thing. Another thing is I remember there was this one interior designer, her husband was a football fan and we spent like 90% of the call just talking about football because because I was super interested. Like I love football. I watch football like all the time whenever I get the opportunity. And
Wait, what type of
uh,
football? What type of
the real
football?
football, bro. The real football, bro. Don't you dare saying soccer, bro. No, 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 no.
I
The
love
real
that.
football, bro, of
The
course.
real-
And but I mean, no, she had her husband, and she was telling me like what's his routine and all this stuff. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then I started showing her. Oh my god, I remember when I told all of this. I started showing her like videos because I went to the World Cup when it was in Russia,
Oh,
and I'm a France fan because my dad is as well, and so
mm,
we went to one of the group stage games. We also went to the semi final in Nizhny Novgorod, and also
mm,
we went to the final in Moscow, where we
mm.
won, that was like one of the best moments of my life.
Wow.
In 2018, I was still quite young,
Mm.
and and yeah, I just started showing her like a bunch of pictures, like a bunch of videos, etc. And when I told Oliver afterwards, he was like, "Bro, what the fuck are you doing?" And he was like, "Bro, you don't have to like drag it on for that long." And in the end, I didn't think she would end up closing, but then she got back to me like a week after, and she was like, "Yeah, let's move forward." So I was like, "Bro, what can I do? The
Football
football
sold it.
is, bro. Yeah, the
Yeah, the
football sold
football
it."
is. Oh gosh,
Oh,
that
it
is
does,
funny.
bro.
That
But
is
yeah,
interesting. Why do you think she closed?
I have no clue, bro. I have no idea. I think it's just because we could relate. I think
Hmm.
a big mistake also people do, like usually on the sales calls, is like it's way too professional. I'm much more of a believer of talking to the person, connecting with them on a deeper level. Don't, forget like a fucking like word for word sales script. Like that's not what you need to be doing. Okay. Just trying to relate to people, trying to talk to them as a human being.
Hmm.
Um, and if you have some things that you share in common, talk about them. Don't be afraid to go things like personal, to ask them about, personal things in their life, etc. Of course,
Hmm.
don't go overboard, right? Don't go
Hmm.
asking people, what's their national insurance number, but um, just trying to get those kind of relatable points that you can kind of discuss, just like the football one. Okay, maybe it was probably a bad idea, and I think if you do that, 9 times out of 10 you don't close.
Hmm.
But the football one is maybe a bit extreme. But if you talk to them human to human, that's all people really want. They
Hmm.
really want to just feel like they're being listened to, and they have someone that can kind of help them with the issues that they're currently facing. I think that's just it. And it's the same with like when people do cold calls, etc. I always tell them, bro, be as authentic as possible. You
Hmm.
don't need to like do this sales bullshit. And I guess it's maybe because I'm just a self-taught guy in sales. I think if I was to say this in front of Oliver or Charlie, our head of sales, he'd be like, bro, like, what are you saying?
Like what do you say?
But
No,
that's just my way of thinking about it,
yeah, no, I love that, brother. I really love that, to be honest, because I love how and it's like it's nice how you say authenticity is really key in this situation. When you're just being your authentic self, you can
Yep.
go far beyond anything. Because I
Oh yeah.
mean, should be told, like even my best sales calls have actually been when it was also 90% us just talking about our interests and stuff and what we're trying to do, their dreams, our dreams, and relating, and then the 10% was just selling. So it's very interesting that you say that, and
A
I
hundred
love
percent,
that
bro.
aspect of things, man.
Oh yeah, bro.
Dude, okay, I got I got two questions for you, two
Tell me,
final
bro.
questions for you.
Tell me, bro. Tell me, bro. I'm ready.
What is the craziest success story that you have witnessed within Growth Solutions?
Oh, easy. Easy. Definitely the 17-year-old kid. I
Wow.
won't. I won't say his name because I obviously want to keep that private. But
Mm,
super smart guy, and he actually, funnily enough, he actually came on the Grow Solutions team and he did some sales for us. Right, he was part of our sales team
mm,
when we were scaling to that 100K a month,
mm,
and really helped us a shit ton. Actually, I don't know if Oliver mentioned this, but he was the one who really pushed Oliver to up his price. He's just
mm.
like, bro, this is worth so much more. And Oliver was like, no, like, no, no, like, don't like change it because Oliver is, sometimes he was a bit reluctant at that time to up the price, which I can't blame him because it was working, etc. I was
Yeah.
also kind of the same, and that guy was like, fuck that. 17 years old. He was like, fuck that. I'm not gonna listen to everyone. I'm just gonna close at what price I want. And then he started closing at those prices, and we're like, bro. And then that's when we upped the price.
Holy shit.
So he
That
he
is,
has he has balls, bro. He has
yeah.
crazy balls. So shout out to him. He knows who he is if he's watching this. But
Yo.
and yeah, I mean, it's 17-year-old. He's from Canada as well, same as Oliver. And
Mm,
I think he scaled his agency around to 25K a month.
mm.
I mean, still in school. He bought. I think he's saving up his money for a C63. I don't know if he got it already. But
Okay.
bro, like at 17 years old, that is mental, bro.
That
It's
is
just,
mental.
and that when you see that, how can you not think to yourself, like, bruh, if a 17-year-old kid can do it whilst he's still in fucking high school, why
Yeah.
can't I?
Why can't
If
I?
that doesn't motivate you, bro, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
And I think just, you can hear about it. You can hear about all these success stories as much as you want.
Mm,
From actually having seen it, a person grow from that 0 to 25K, and
mm,
he's like a young kid, but he's really smart. Okay.
mm, mm.
I think just that, it really shifts your perspective. In fact, it gives you like this view on life, which is completely different. And if anything, it kind of fucks up your view on life because you no longer look at it as like, you have to go get a job, etc. If a 17-year-old kid can do it, you can fucking do it as well.
Mm,
And it definitely shifts your perspective. That's for sure. And I think
mm,
that's definitely the craziest case study I think we have. We have a bunch of other ones.
mm.
Um, but they're not as like extreme. I have like some 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds, they make very good 40, 50K a month. But
Mm.
I think just a 17-year-old being in high
17-year-old.
school, hitting
Mm.
that 25K is mad. Like
That
that
is
is just mad. At
Wow.
17, bro, I don't know what the fuck I was doing, bro. But I was not skating to 25K a month.
Right. Yeah.
That's for
That
sure.
is that is insane, brother. That is insane. I actually love that so much. I wonder. So, final question for you:
Yes.
what legacy are you trying to leave behind, especially whilst working through growth solutions and possibly even after?
What legacy? Um, I think I definitely want to lead a legacy of honesty. I
Mm,
think I value honesty a lot. I value loyalty a lot. I
mm,
think we've had some. Well, I've personally, and also I've personally had some cases where I've had some people kind of betray us on our journey to the top, and that's
mm,
quite hurtful from people who were day one friends.
mm,
But that's also another my kind of big piece of advice to people is when you're on this journey, don't forget, never forget the people who are with you from day one. Never.
mm,
I have this one buddy of mine who is the only one who kind of really stuck with me throughout all these years. I'd consider him my best friend, and I've known him for so long, 15 years maybe, since I
mm,
was 6. And we still talk to this day. We talk almost every single day, and I value that a lot. And he's never once showed me an ounce of like, oh, like shit is going tough right now. I don't want to be friends with you, or I'm just not going to stay in touch with you. I'm bored or whatever. He's always stayed by my side, and I will always stay by his.
mm,
So I think honesty and loyalty, those are the two main things that I value in life. Um, I think if you can show your day one people and always be honest with them and show them loyalty to the full extent.
mm.
Of course, I don't think you can bring everyone to the top with you. So I
Yeah.
think some people just need to be cut off. And I
Mm.
have plenty of cases, from my high school. I basically don't talk to any of my friends anymore.
Wow.
And it's unfortunate. I wish I could, but
Mm,
it's just that they're on a different path in life,
mm,
and we weren't necessarily that close to stay in contact and really both of us make the effort to maybe see each other, etc.
mm,
Um, but yeah, sorry, come back to legacy. I think I just want to help out as many people as I possibly can.
mm,
I want to make a good life for myself. And, once again, through either influence or money, try
mm,
and make a huge impact on, giving people a similar opportunity that has presented to myself in my lifetime. And also, giving my kids the best possible kind of life.
mm,
I really want a family. I want a boy and a girl. It's a
mm.
bit early for me to start thinking about that,
I
um, but yeah,
love
I
that.
definitely I'm very much a family man. I would really value like having, for example, a son. I can't wait to
Mm,
have a son. And,
mm.
yeah, I think those are the main things. So
Wow.
building something for yourself in the future, always being honest
Mm,
and always staying loyal, in terms
mm.
of showing loyalty to your day one people. I think those are the main things I would preach.
Dude, Alexei, this has been such an amazing, amazing podcast. Just you diving really deep into this stuff right here. It's the success aspect, who you are, where you come from with the hard working as well too. How you pretty much had lost everything that you saved up and you still didn't go back, even though you don't come from the traditional rags to
Mm,
riches type of like
yeah.
story. And then,
Unfortunately, it would have made a good
unfortunately,
story. It would have made a good story, but it's not the truth,
it's
so.
not a true no, but I love this though because this makes an impeccable story in my opinion. Because man, for you to be doing what you're doing, even though um, life is giving you all the aspects of goodness that you need in order for you to like succeed, you really just use that as a springboard instead of a
Hmm.
crutch. And I love that so much, brother. Brother,
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
if anybody wanted to reach out to you, get in contact with you, find out more about like growth solutions or just like you as a person and all of that, where could they reach you?
So, I mean, I've got my Instagram, which is at Alexei, Alexei, and then Poulet, Poulet.
Mm,
That's just my personal one. And then, to be honest, if you want to find out more about Grow Solutions, that would be awesome. We really help you guys out if you do want to come on board. So it's
mm,
kind of, it's up to you. But yeah, our website
mm.
is growsolutions.io. Pretty much
Awesome.
that's that. All right, bro.
Awesome. Let's go. Let's go. Guys, I am in the growth solutions community.
Yes, sir. Kofi is part of the team.
Yeah, they are really amazing at what they do because I'm just seeing because all these case studies and stuff that he's talking about, right? Because it's like I definitely do believe in being a part of community that is actionably like, on the right path and doing what you're doing. I've been a part of many, but I must say this is absolutely one of my favorites. And I'm also seeing these 17-year-olds and stuff like that crushing it. And I'm looking at them. I'm like, yeah,
Bruh.
this,
Yeah, it's
it's
crazy. It's a
so
crazy life.
I love it. So shoot, guys, if you are interested in finding out more about growth solutions or getting in contact with Alexei, reach out to him on his Instagram. And in fact, DM him the word scale, and he will know that, like, you want to talk about growth solutions or something more, and that you came from this podcast. Aside that, Alexei, do you have any final words to people before we end this podcast right here?
Work hard. Work hard and don't give up. Never give up. You have no choice.
You have no choice. All right, people, you guys heard it from the man himself. Work hard, never give up. You have no choice. Stay tuned until the next one. Alexei, thanks so much for being here, brother. I
Thank you for
appreciate
having me,
it.
bro. I appreciate it. Take care,
No problem.
everyone.
All right, guys. See ya.
Peace.